today we are going to talk about how technology can be an enabler for skilling in the rural areas, right? So I have Arjun and Ramji. They will give a short introduction about themselves, and then we will have one or two questions, right? So over to you, Ramji.
Thank you. Ramji Raghavan, I'm the founder and chairperson of Agastya International Foundation. And our mission is to spark curiosity, nurture creativity, and instill confidence in underserved children, government school teachers, and we are now across India, 22 states. We reach 5 million children a year through various channels. So that's what we're doing.
Great. Good evening, everyone. So, my name is Arjun, and I'm the co-founder of We Make Scholars. We Make Scholars is India's largest education finance platform. We work with giving out information on scholarships and also the education loans in India. So, more than 50,000 students have collectively like scholarships and education loans we have funded in the last 5 years. So, yeah, that's pretty much about us.
Thank you very much, both of you, for coming over. And thank you very much to Deshpande Foundation and Kakatiya Sandbox for having us on this session. Plus, the last 2 days, yesterday and today, has been extremely interesting to see a town with 5 lakh population like Nizamabad, waking up and inviting and doing such a good job of having us all here, and also having KTRG coming at Development Dialogue. A dialogue is a two-way street. So if we speak, you listen, you speak, we listen, right? So on this note, I would like to have Ramji tell us about skill. What does skill mean to him? Technical skill, soft skill, what is it that we are talking about?
See, in Agastya, we believe that the most important skill is creative thinking. Okay? Now, maybe it's not what you wanted to hear, but we believe that's the foundation. And by creative thinking, we've broken it down in terms of the skill of questioning, the skill of observing, the skill of experimenting, and finally, what they call the skill of associating, connecting the dots. These are the skills they found prevalent among the world's greatest entrepreneurs. And that is what we focus on in terms of a foundational skill, on top of which you can build everything else.
Now, how can technology play a role in improving creativity then?
So, our mission is through hands-on experiential learning.
True.
And with COVID, all that came to a stop. So we said, can we bring technology in? But then everyone else has technology. So what is it that we are going to do that's different? And we said, if we can combine technology with hands-on learning, we'll create something unique. So today we have something called Phygital, which combines physical and technology, digital, virtual. We're working with IT in Hyderabad, doing virtual, real experiments. So there are infinite opportunities for technology to actually accelerate the kinds of skills that I've talked about.
Can you talk a little about also the mobile facilities that you have where technology is actually reaching the end goal? So it's not just soft skill, but hardcore technology.
So we have these mobile science vans, 200 vans that go around India. And now, as part of the curriculum, we've introduced curriculum through tablets so that children actually do physical activity at the same time as they consult the tablets for digital stuff. So we are doing this through our mobile science vans across the country.
Thank you very much for that. I'm an experiential learner myself. You know, when you walk into nature, when you walk into a forest, nobody can actually train you to do that. You need to go experience and learn by yourself, and that's a long-lasting journey. So thank you for that. Arjun, you have a platform, right? And what do you do on that platform, and how do you assist skilling, and in what areas, especially, what does skill mean to you?
Yeah, so in today's world, I think skilling has become more open, I would say, in terms of like in every aspect, not just early on you have specific skills to learn. Only specific sector of people would do that. I mean, as you mentioned in a previous meeting about a carpentry or plumbing. So these are all part of skilling, right? So today, I think anything you take up to enhance yourself and go to next level, I mean, that's what I personally would see like a skilling. And that's like, even if you're having a very good job, you take up something to learn something new or something new in the same subject, but something advanced, and maybe make yourself better, maybe for just for your knowledge purpose, or maybe for your new role purpose, or anything. Upgrading yourself is today what I call as simple as skilling. And I think that's become more open because technology today, as you see, like so many, I mean, there are free platforms, there are paid platforms and all that, but I would say a person who is having connectivity to internet and access to a mobile device across the country, anywhere, maybe globally anywhere, can actually have that opportunity to upskill themselves in the area where they're interested, because there are right kind of material or information out there. It's just a matter of passion and and enthusiasm they have to have. The rest is all doable. So in coming to our point of view, our platform, we make scholars, like we kind of help out students in the education financing, which I told you. So so many students are coming up, going, maybe abroad, even like foreign countries for the education purpose, where they're going to all the new kinds of courses and curriculum coming out. So definitely we have been kind of almost always we have a fight with the banks to get them approved for the new skills, because they always only fund for the basic engineering or one or two programs what they always have seen before. But now we have been fighting with the banks to fund the students who are going even for new skilling, new programs, maybe beer making, maybe all such new programs and skills also to kind of learn through. And I mean, I'm happy that we are able to fund those programs as well. So that's where we feel personally happy about able to upskill students in their own area of interest, beyond the normal generic engineering or a couple of common streams, outside the box in something they are more interested and passionate about.
What you're doing is very impactful. But moving forward, do you see that when you award a diploma to an ITI student for a certain hard skill, how is it perceived compared to an engineering degree, right? If you're called an engineer and you're called a diploma holder, who is above the other? Is the engineer on top in your mind or in the mind of the parents, or is it the diploma holder? Yes. Engineer is above, diploma holder is a lower skill, right? So, but in the entrepreneurial world, you create employability with all these kind of skills. So in that area, can you throw some light on how we can change the mindset and the perceive? Because maybe parents are not getting them to these kind of courses, because whereas in the US, you would pay an arm and a leg to have a plumber or anybody else come and do these services, and it's also employable. So any thoughts on that?
Arjun probably is more qualified to speak on that, because as far as we're concerned, we don't issue any certificates.
Okay.
Okay? And maybe we are fortunate because the children we deal with are not yet in that age group where they need certificates.
Yeah.
We do issue certificates, but they're more participation certificates.
Okay.
They're not employability certificates per se.
Yeah, so rightly mentioned, like, so in terms of today's world, I think it's debatable, like engineer or, any other degree, diploma. But I would say more of a point of view from the work done, the who actually has that depth of knowledge, or the actual, it's not like every engineer is on top of the world doing everything the best way, right? So I'm sure you all will agree to that. So it's not about just a degree point of view. I would also see that how much depth and passionate they're connected towards that subject, and how much in-depth knowledge they have in that. And I think even a diploma person who is very well connected to it and very well enthusiastic about it, I mean, they can even do the great things happening. It's not like a factor that only engineer can be comparable in that sense. So I would see it that way.
So yesterday we all had a tour, and the tour took us to the Deshpande Foundation funded skilling programs, especially in English language, right? So for the youngsters in the school, and also skilling plus, which was for the college students. So my comment there is, does English and the knowledge of English, is it more an aspirational thing for the rural India, or is it something that actually increases confidence? Would you have a comment on that?
Yeah, the way India is structured today, where knowing English seems to be very aspirational because it's associated with status and so on, it certainly adds to confidence. Having said that, and English is very important, I did all my education in English. If I was given a choice between somebody who speaks great English but whose thinking is mediocre, and somebody who speaks great Telugu but who's a very creative thinker, I would go for the latter. So, knowing English doesn't mean that your thinking is superior. But having said that, knowing English has its benefits.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on, like, it's just a medium of language because we are a country with multilingual, multi-dimensional, communicative, all that. So hence, to bring on a single platform, we have it. I think English is a medium, but as he rightly mentioned, it's more about the person and their skill and ability that actually, matters beyond the language. So I think we should all look it like a language, which we are just using as a medium of communication. And it's much more, I mean, the talent and knowledge is much more beyond that, yeah.
See, I grew up in UP. मुझे हिंदी इतनी अच्छी आती है. Between me and my sister, we lapse into Hindi all the time. Oh, हिंदी हमें बहुत अच्छी आती है. आपको कौन सी लैंग्वेज अच्छी आती है?
एक्चुअली मैं केरला से हूँ, मुझे मलयालम आता है.
हाँ, मलयालम में बोलिए. मलयालम में बोलिए आप.
മലയാളം यहाँ पे
We'll all understand. I'm telling you.
എല്ലാവർക്കും മലയാളം മനസ്സിലാവോ?
Wow. See,
മനസ്സിലാവും.
there will be one person.
മനസ്സിലാവും.
And what about you?
I don't speak any language that
Other than
fluently.
English.
No, even English is full of errors.
Errors. So you're
Having
one of
said
the.
that, my mother tongue is Tamil.
Okay.
Vanakkam. Hope all of you எல்லாம் சந்தோஷமா இருக்கீங்களா?
பாடதுக்கு அப்புறம் சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு.
See, the point here I was trying to make is skilling. Suppose there is a person from Bihar coming and working in Karnataka. Now, we recently moved back from the Middle East to Karnataka. I knew a smattering of Kannada and so on. But all the maids and the house help, they are all from either West Bengal or Bihar or from other states, from Nepal and so on. They know Hindi probably and their own mother tongue and language. And it's a big struggle for them. So I think skills, when we are talking about, and we are going to other states, language, one is English, but also learning the language of the other state where you're actually settling down is kind of a responsibility. Don't you think so?
It's,
And it's a
in fact, see, we are in 22 states, and often I'm called upon to speak to teachers virtually or in person who don't speak English. So I have to try and find a way of speaking to them in their own mother tongue, and especially in Hindi. My Hindi is very average, but I've tried to learn. Thanks to Google, my Hindi vocabulary has gone up, and I make the effort because if you speak to somebody in their language, they relate to it much better.
Agree. I think smartphone, another point that I'd like to make, probably the last 2 points in our conclusion to our small panel, is the prevalence of smartphones in the rural areas and the increased use of smartphones is going to drive the transformation in a big way, both in the hybrid model and also for education. Any views on that? The prevalence of smartphones, any data that you have?
Yeah, so our platform, wemakescholars.com, is, again, as a web platform, like, we get 65% from the main metros, but we have a good number of 35% students from tier 3 and 4. I mean, not even 1 and 2. beyond that, 3 and 4. So I think the penetration has been very well, and I think that's the major kind of point which has added up great for our students accessing our portal from these areas. So for example, I'll tell you, like we recently had a big struggle of sanctioning an education loan in Andaman and Nicobar Island. So that was the first loan sanctioned in that territory, like where the manager had never sanctioned a loan before. So we helped and handhold them and all that. But the student came to us by discovering us online through their mobile application or maybe desktop, I'm not sure, but mostly mobile. And then they applied to us and they came to us and knowing about our initiative. So I think that barrier has gone beyond kind of earlier days. We have this, maybe not even earlier days, just maybe 7, 8 years ago, it was more kind of disconnected. But now I think this kind of mobile, penetration has greatly bridged that gap between the technology, the services and what one can avail by being anywhere across, and if they're eligible to avail that, yeah.
And do you see any kind of men and women self-help groups and so on, the usage for any of the skilling courses? How is it distributed? More women come to you, more men, or is it equal in terms of asking for scholarships?
We kind of have almost an equal 60-40 ratio, 60 men and kind of 40 female students. I mean, but the best part is if you see the growth, from the growth point of view, there's a very high growth in the tier 3 and 4 cities for this aspirational value which we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not just about English, but the aspirational value to be competitive enough to a tier 1, tier 2 person. Like, why can't we do it? Why can't I do it? So that aspirational level is pretty high in tier 3 or 4 when compared today, when compared to 1 or 2. I mean, which 1 or 2 had, tier 1 or 2 had maybe years ago or decades ago, that can be seen today in 3 and 4 tiers because of the availability and accessibility of the information technology, all that being connected, that has brought down that barrier, and it's more open to all kind of.
Ramji, last question to you for today is, how do you train the trainers? Are there enough people who are able to impart these courses? Because you want to keep the people in the rural areas from migration to urban areas, right? That shouldn't be the way it is strategically envisioned. We want people to stay in their own homes. We saw how things were when everybody had to rush back to their homes about a couple of years ago, right? So train the trainer. What would it take to make trainers in the rural areas so they stay there in terms of skilling courses?
We find that we work with thousands of school teachers every year, thousands. And we have companies like Infosys that fund these programs. And we've had a very positive response from the government school teachers, many of them from rural areas. They're all looking for a more exciting way of learning and teaching. So they're very responsive on the whole. And so we have very interactive training programs. The problem with a lot of training programs is they're not interactive and people don't internalize. So we have developed techniques to make it more interactive and to make it more internalizable for the trainers. So that's what we've been doing, and it's had a very positive effect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a couple of comments here from the audience. May I ask Mr. Nitin Desai, CEO, Navam Foundation. Can somebody give him a mic, please, as we are wrapping up? If you have other questions, they have the mic. Yeah.
Thank you, panelists. It was really engaging. Today morning, Minister Garu, shared 3 interesting things. He brought out 3 interesting things. One is innovation, inclusion, and infrastructure. And the panel touched upon, a couple of very interesting things, what Ranji brought about, the innovation and the fundamental things. I really enjoyed, the whole panel. And 2 interesting things which came out to me was the discovery skills and the delivery skills for the innovators and for the innovation. The discovery skills, as the panel was touching upon, was the questioning, observing, and experimenting, yeah, and associating and networking. These are very fundamental skills of innovators, to really thrive in the ecosystem. That was one thing which really clicked to me. And second is the delivery, skill, which is decision making and risk taking and a couple of other things. And technology, of course, is a great accelerator. Yeah, I want to quote to Desh, Dr. Desh here. He was saying that most of the changes have been brought about by the technological innovations and entrepreneurs who have put them to good use. You know, it it's a responsibility, I feel, and the panel briefly touched upon it, that it's the growth driver and a multiplier, in the whole ecosystem. A quick experiment what we tried to do in the state of Telangana with the help of technology is to reach close to 20,000 schools and train the children in innovation and design thinking. So it's a program what we're trying to, uh, run with the help of the government and TSIC. So technology is a great growth driver what we see in the whole
Thank you.
ecosystem. Thank you, panel,
Thank you very much.
for
Thank you
your
very much.
insights.
Here.
He's a senior vice president in Smart IMS.
National leaders here gathered today for a cause. We are
Closer.
intentional leaders because we have the intention to change, bring the change. We have the intention to lead the change. And we do have the intention to create a platform for the younger generation to take the so-called $3 trillion Indian economy to 5 trillion in next 3 years and aspirational to become a 10 trillion economy in next 7 years. What does it mean? It is a 3x growth. So 3x growth, we are talking today's the theme is technology for impact. Impact is the positive change and scale, enhancing the business verticals. So this change is possible only by enhancing the business verticals across healthcare and life sciences, media and entertainment, banking and financial sector, supply chain management, education, public sector, cybersecurity governance, so on and so forth. So, to bootstrap these businesses to 3x, what we need? We need people. We need qualified people. So, how do we get the qualified people? Is having a triple IT RJKUT in Nizamabad kind of tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities is sufficient? Definitely it is not. We need to have STEM education in a different model induced at the high school level itself, starting from 8th class itself, so that we have different alternate educations, because in India the perception is somebody is educated, lawyer, doctor and engineer. So that model is not going to work. We have a skill needed for delivering a job. If Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Wipro says I need a BTech graduate with 70% starting from LKG through engineering, that model will not work. So we need to change the qualification as the skill needed to deliver a job. And we need to have more vocational courses, ITIs.
Absolutely.
diplomas,
I
so on
completely
and so
agree with you.
forth. And for delivering any business, there are 3 building blocks, right? So we have technology infrastructure, applications, and processes. So who is responsible for the technology infrastructure? People. Who are responsible for creating the processes? It is the people. And who develop the applications? It is the people. So we are talking about 900 million people in rural India who needs to be empowered
Sure.
to support the 10 trillion economy. I think we need to change the way where we impart the education to our kids, and also how we create the employment in tier 2 and tier 3 situation. It is not about giving a space. We need to have companies.
No, I think even tier 1 cities, we need to inculcate skills which are life supporting. So I completely agree with you. Thank you for your comments.
sir.
There is one story that I want to end with. I was talking to, there are a lot of automobile manufacturing companies that are there in the south, and come from engineers, BTech graduates, and they don't know how to weld. And even if you put them through a training program, they don't know how to weld, right? So unless, like you rightly said, it's inculcated from the school level, various skills that are hard skills needed and which could make you an entrepreneur later in life is something probably we need to look at and this could be right across, the country.
Yeah, one
Yep,
final
thank you.
request and statement from my side. So all the parties in the ecosystem, let it be entrepreneurs or corporates or NGOs and the public sector, we all need to join hands to provide the needful infrastructure and education and employment in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities so that the so-called aspirational 10 trillion economy in next 7 years, that can be achieved and we make a great India for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir.
One of our panelists couldn't join here.
There is one. Let's try and
Okay.
quickly answer that before
Sure.
we move on.
Sure,
Yes, sir.
please.
A question, huh, sir?
Yeah, I'm going to ask actually and also make some comments. I have been trying actually for last 3+ years to connect whatever the available skills to the youth, unemployed youth basically. So during that process, what I understand, there is a huge gap between the the youth, unemployed youth, and the skilling organizations who offer the skills at free of cost. They also provide all the facilities, hostel, travel cost, everything is free of cost provided. But the unemployed youth don't have a proper message or communication to reach out to the skilling organizations. So in this process, what we thought, we can come up with a portal where the unemployed youth can register, the organizations can look out for the unemployed youth and choose from them. So I want to understand if any of these kind of initiatives are already happening with you so that we can take over from there or we can take it forward from there.
Your
Instead
question,
of-
if we understand, is
It's not about unemployed youth, but it's about just graduated students who are just graduated now, right? So that has been a good medium for us to actually look out for the fresh candidates, the good talent, and connecting them between the companies and the academia. Like,
Sure.
So